Only me. Gentlemen, we're class, what is this, class 9, I think, on the Masachet Sanhedrin. I don't even remember. We're Daf Sadi Bet Amud Aleph. So, you wanted to know what's happening now. So, yeah, they started flooding the tunnels. They're finally doing that. To me, that means the reason they're flooding the tunnels, they probably think that most of the hostages were killed. Meaning, why else would they do it, right? Meaning, so probably the assessment is if they're not dead, they're going to be killed soon. And if they're alive, here's what I'm thinking. Now Hamas knows they're going to get killed. They know it's over. Israel is going to come and kill every single one of those low lives. Okay. Now, if there's a hostage alive, Hamas knows the only chance they have to even live is through a hostage. So meaning, what Israel is thinking is they're going into the mind of the Hamas terrorist and they're saying like this: the Hamas terrorist doesn't want to die, he wants to live. And the only way he can possibly live is if he somehow has something leverage against Israel. What's the leverage? A hostage. So by flooding the tunnels, Israel is basically saying, you want to die, you want to live. If you want to live, come out with a hostage. You don't have a hostage? Good, we'll kill you anyway. So I think that's what's happening now in Israel. They started finding bodies of hostages in different locations, different things, and that's what's happening. Another thing that's just worthy of note, and we should just know it, is that they want, they're always saying we want fuel, we need fuel. The whole thing is a joke. It's a joke. I mean, Hamas takes all the fuel. Now, why did they have like this issue with fuel? Because on October 7th, when they burnt the bodies, they burnt it like in a way which even like the expert pathologists in Israel weren't able to identify. There was nothing left. Like even in the DNA, it was like completely burnt. How did they do that? They used tons and tons of fuel that they took from Gaza into Israel. You understand what happened? And now we don't have fuel, well, humanitarian. They should never have fuel again. If it was up to me, I would just stop all fuel to Gaza's trip forever until further notice, maybe to the year 3000, after Techiyat HaMetim. Well, maybe one day we'll think about giving them fuel. They don't deserve fuel, what they did. They don't deserve fuel. They use the fuel to do what they did, and then they complain, we don't have fuel. You understand what a bunch of phonies these Palestinians are? It's just unbelievable. Anyway, I have to say, like, just as a father, and I'll say one more thing, and then we'll study Gemara. Of course, having a son in Gaza is, it's not easy. It's actually kind of very unnerving, as you can tell. My wife and I were praying, and we're constantly on edge. But I wouldn't have it any other way. See what I'm saying? I wouldn't have it any other way after what they did. No, I wouldn't not want my son to be serving in Gaza and defending Am Yisrael. See what I'm saying? That's a simple truth. So Hashem should protect him and all the other soldiers. All right, so we're studying now the Gemara, Matkifla Rav Ida. I put your phone literally above the word Matkifla. You see that word?
Yes.
It's the first word in the line, so it's very easy to find. Matkifla.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so Matkifla Rav Ida. So we were studying these, there was a word, De'ah, wisdom, that comes before the two names of God. Okay, now we have the word Nekama that comes before the two names of God. So does that have significance? You remember last week we said the word wisdom comes from God and goes back to God, right? Remember, so El, right? What did we say? Ki El de'ot Adonai velo nitkenu alilot. That was the pasuk we brought. Now we're going to be dealing with the idea of nekama. So the pasuk says, Matkifla ravidab karpina'a ela me'ata gedola nekama shenitela ben shete otiyot. Should we infer that because the word nekama means revenge, vengeance, the word nekama comes between the two names of God. Tomorrow morning is Wednesday morning. What do we read on Yom Revi'i in the Tefillah? El nekamot Adonai, el nekamot Rafia. Now look at the pasuk. Tichtib, el nekamot Adonai, el nekamot Rafia. Now you see the word El, that's the name of God. Then nekamot, you have the word vengeance, or many vengeances, and Hashem. So you see the word nekama also is sandwiched between the two names of God. So what does that mean? Are we to infer that there is something special about revenge? Now, in the Torah, it's forbidden for an individual to take revenge against another individual, right? So for example, the Pasuk says, Lo tekom v'lo titol. What does it mean, Lo tekom v'lo titol? Let's say you cheated me in business. You did. I'm pointing. I shouldn't be pointing at anybody. Let's say somebody cheated me in business. Now I have the opportunity to cheat them in business. I'm not allowed to take revenge and say I'm going to cheat them just to teach them, you cheated me, now I'm going to cheat you. So the idea of revenge is important because what it shows a lack of emunah in God. Let me explain to you what I mean by that. If somebody does something bad to me, I know for a fact, because I have emunah, that God is going to deal with whatever has to be dealt with. Nobody gets away with anything in this world. Nobody gets away with anything. So if somebody hurts me or did something that was unfair, I don't need to take revenge because God's going to take revenge, right? So lo tikom, and not only lo tikom, the pasuk says lo titol. What does lo titol mean? Sometimes people say, okay, I'm not going to do anything, but you keep it inside. You're holding it. Yeah. It's like it's eating you up inside. Lo titol. Don't let it be inside of you. So, for example, the Chachamim bring an example of lo titol. So let's say that Uven did something wrong to me. So I'm not going to take revenge against the Uven. But when I speak to the Uven in my language, I indicate to him that I remember what you did. So, for example, the Uven, I wanted $100, and he refused to lend it to me, even though he had the money. But he was like, "I'm not giving you the money. Why should I lend you the money?" Then one day the Uven comes. He says, "Can I borrow $100 from you?" Lo tikol means I don't lend him the money because he didn't lend me the money. Lo titol means even when you lend him the money, don't lend him with the chip on your shoulder. Don't say, yeah, I'm not like you. I'm going to lend you the money even though you didn't lend me the money. That means you're holding it inside of you, right? That's why before we go to, what?
You can't hold a grudge?
Meaning, there's two things. Be smart, protect yourself in life. Put that on the side. You should always protect yourself. There's so many scoundrels out there. Always be vicious in protecting yourself. Nobody should be able to hurt you. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if somebody got away with somebody sucker punched you. And that's it. It's over. The fight is over. He sucker punched you. And there's nothing you can do at this point to protect yourself because the punch was already received. Don't let it hurt you inside. You see what I'm saying? So when I say don't take revenge, I don't mean turn the other cheek. The Christians say turn the other cheek. Total nonsense. If somebody tries to punch me, I'm gonna defend myself, and if I have to punch, I'll get to you in a moment. That if I have to punch him, I'll punch him really hard. And I got the Chanukiah outside my house, and I got a baseball bat, and I'm thinking if anybody comes, I'll really teach him a good lesson. I don't even care, because there's these bad people out there. Don't do me a favor, And then my daughter has this taser. It's terrifying. It's crazy. It's like 1 billion volts. It's like just turning it on. It's like terrifying. I'm literally waiting. That's okay. That's not revenge. That's protection. Right? I'll get to you in a moment. That's protection. Protect yourself. Always protect yourself because there's so many scoundrels out there. Don't be shy. Okay? And if you need to punch to protect yourself, punch. And when you punch hard. Don't hold back. Okay. We're not talking about that. We're talking about somebody sucker punched me. And that's it. Okay. It's done. It's done. A Jew. By the way, the law of the Nekaman and Netilah has to do with the Jew. We're talking about Jews now, okay? These are the laws between Jews. Somebody hurt me in business. I can hurt them in business. I'm not going to do it. I don't have to. Because I know God is going to do what God will take care of him much better than I can ever take care of him. And once I get into this vicious cycle of being dishonest or ruthless in a way where I just do it to hurt him, not to protect myself. To protect myself, I'll do it. To hurt him. That's where it's a problem. Lo titol means don't even think about it. If you're going to do somebody a favor, don't say, oh, you didn't do me the favor. Just do him the favor. Be gracious about it. Be nice about it. Let go. What do you say before you go to sleep at night? Shema. And in the Shema you say, Ribono shel olam, hareini mochel v'soleh lechol mi sheyichis v'iknit oti lechol bal Yisrael. Any Jew who did something wrong to me, God, I forgive him. That's between you and him. I forgive him. Why do I say that? Why should I forgive him? I don't want to forgive him. That's the problem. You should forgive him, not because of him. God's going to take care of him. God will do whatever he does. Let go, move on. The worst thing in life is to let things hold you back. When you let things hold you back, it eats you up inside and then you get you go crazy. Always just let go. So you understand the idea of lo tikol means don't take revenge. Lo titol means don't let it eat you up inside. Just let it go. God is taking care of him. I've seen it in my life. I've seen so many things in my life where a person, let's say, speaks bad about, let's say, a Chacham. The Chacham doesn't say anything. He remains silent. God takes care of that person. A person who's dishonest to somebody else in business, I saw what happened to that person years later. You don't have to do anything. Keep your mouth shut and go on in your life. That's the advice of Nekama. So that's at the personal level among Jews. We never take revenge against Jews. As a nation, we have to love each other and treat each other in a special way. To protect myself, absolutely. To hurt somebody else, no. I had a whole bunch of people raising their hands, starting with you.
Does that go back to what you said last week about how when something happens to you, it's almost like Hashem telling you to wake up?
Yes, sir.
Way? So if someone does something to you, let's say, could it be that it was coming to you for a reason?
Yeah. The Gemara says, Migalgelin chova al yedei chayav. What does it mean, Migalgelin chova al yedei chayav? Let's say Reuven did something wrong. He doesn't even know he did something wrong. Maybe he was reckless, careless, negligent. Maybe he hurt somebody, he doesn't even know it. Or maybe he did it on purpose. God was going to take care of Reuven. Reuven is chayav, has a chova. Reuven has a chova. He's going to bring somebody else to hurt Reuven, slap him in the face, whatever it is. Now Reuven is going to think, wait, what did I do to deserve this? It's not between Reuven and the person who slapped him. It's between Reuven and God. The best example, and I love this example, David HaMelech. David HaMelech was persecuted for some reason. He was always persecuted in his life. After he became king, he finally felt, okay, I'm good here, I'm finally the king. And then his son Avshalom decided to kill his father, or wanted to kill him, and David HaMelech is running away from Jerusalem, just trying to get away before Avshalom kills him. And he has he's in the worst state. Some of his followers are with him. And as he's running away, there's a guy called Shimei ben Gera. Now Shimei ben Gera, David HaMelech was on a low area, like a valley, and Shimei ben Gera is like a kind of on the hill. And Shimei ben Gera, he sees David HaMelech, and as he sees David HaMelech, he starts yelling at David HaMelech, saying all these expletives and throwing things at him. Now, David HaMelech is the king of Israel. I mean, come on, what are you doing? Okay, you don't like him, but what are you doing, right? Let the guy's running away. Let him run away. So anyway, the people who were with David HaMelech, they were warriors, and they told David HaMelech, we're going to go kill him now. Let's just go kill him. The guy's he's mecharef, he's insulting the king. You can't get away with that. David HaMelech says, leave him alone. This is between me and God. God sent him to hurt me. Just leave him alone. Right now we have to run away from Avshalom. I'm going to do my own cheshbon nefesh. I'm going to do my own internal thinking. Who did I hurt? Did I insult somebody? Did I say something bad? You see, so that's the idea. I agree with you with what you just said. So if somebody's trying to punch me, I'll defend myself. I will. I'll defend myself, and I'll do it ruthlessly. If I got sucker punched and there's nothing I can do, I'm going to ask myself, wait, what happened? Why did this happen? There's a reason. Yes, there's always a reason.
Why
yes.
did he send Shlomo to kill him, no?
Oh no, so Shlomo Melech killed, you know who he killed? He didn't kill him. He killed Yoav ben Seruya. Yoav ben Seruya was a general of the Jewish people. Now what happened is,
he didn't
kill Yoav ben Seruya himself.
Shimei ben
Gera, no.
He killed him too, no?
Yeah, later on. But Shlomo did it. But let me tell you what happened with Shlomo. Why didn't he want to do it himself? Now, according to Halakha, he could have done it himself. He's a king. The Halakha is, if a person insults the king, this is Halakha. The king can execute the guy. You can't just start throwing things at the king and insulting them. That's a Halakha.
He took a revenge. No?
He didn't. Why didn't he do it? So let me ask you, why did he send Shlomo to do it after he was dead? I'll tell you the reason. He didn't want, because when you take revenge, you get a certain, you enjoy it, right? You enjoy it? Revenge. He didn't want to get that enjoyment. He said, listen, the guy insulted the king of Israel. We can't have people insulting the king of Israel, but I don't want to taste the taste of revenge. I'm going to have my son do it after I'm dead. I'm not going to have any benefit from that. I'm not going to have any of that thing, even though we could kill him. And he says, I'm the king, and this is halakha. It's not revenge. The halakha is the king is not supposed to allow people to insult him like that. I don't want it. So
he never let go.
Because
let go.
Let me explain to you the halakha. The halakha, it's a good question, by the way. There's a halakha that says, I'll give you an example. Rav shemachal al kevodo machul. If a rabbi, if somebody doesn't, let's say, show proper respect to the rabbi, whatever, okay, not big. Rabbi can say I'm offended. Aval Rav shemachal al bizyono. If somebody comes to a rabbi now and insults him, like a bad, vicious way, The rabbi can't just say, oh, it's okay, I forgive him. No, because it's not about you. It's about, you're a Chacham, you represent the Torah. And if you just forgive him, oh, it's okay, no big deal, you're cheapening yourself. You're cheapening what you stand for. So now let's go to the king. There's a similar law with the king. The king can't say, oh, I forgive him, it's okay. Because when you insult the king, you're insulting the nation. See what I'm saying? I'll give you an example. I've never been a big fan of Bibi. Like, I know people love him, but I don't love him, I don't hate him. I'm in the middle. But I notice as people are very like, they love insulting him and they love putting him down. And I can criticize him without insulting him, right? And I don't like the insults because I feel like you're deprecating us as a nation. Like Bibi is a representative of the Jewish people. Maybe we should have a different representative. Maybe we should have somebody better. No problem. Fair enough. But when you insult him, he's the representative of Am Yisrael. So you're insulting more than him as a person. You're insulting the nation. Now a king, that's David HaMelech was chosen by God. And you're throwing things at him, and you're deprecating him, and it's at this point in time where he's at such a low point. So David HaMelech can't just overlook it. You can't say, oh, I'm mochel. What do you mean you're mochel? The guy was horrible. He insulted the nation of Israel. You see what I'm saying? It's not personal, it's national. That's why the Torah is so makpid. When it comes to the king, you have to show special respect to the king, because what you're doing is you're respecting the nation. There's an international and personal. Personal, yeah, you can be mochel. National, and that's what David HaMelech, he makes the compromise. He says, look, I'm not going to just overlook it, because I can't, because then every king can be subjected to that type of insult, and what's the nation going to be? He says, but I'll have my son do it, so I don't see it, I don't experience it, I have nothing to do with nekama. You see, I think it's a nice compromise. Next, young man.
So you're talking about defending yourself when you need to. Should you only defend yourself in a case of pikuach nefesh? Or financially, if you know that someone's coming for you, is it okay to be proactive and stop that from happening?
100%, and you should be vicious about defending yourself. I'll say it again. When it comes to self-defense, whether it's physical self-defense, whether it's financial self-defense, there are ruthless people out there. You need to be ruthless in defending yourself. Don't let anybody touch what's yours. I'm putting it straight out there. I'm not Christian. I don't believe in Christian morality. I don't believe in turning the other cheek. I believe very strongly that you have to defend what's yours. You look at Yaakov Avinu, Lavan Ha'arami. Yaakov Avinu didn't hold back any punches. When it came time to leave, he saw that Lavan is not going to let him leave. He took everything with him that was his. Of course, he didn't take something that didn't belong to him, and he ran away. And Lavan got really angry. How can you do this? And Yaakov didn't hold back any punches. Right? That's the way. But after the fact, now years later, somebody hurt you, and years later, now you have the opportunity to hurt that person. That's not self-defense. That's revenge, and revenge is forbidden. You had a question?
Yeah, so we see a couple instances in the Torah about like goel adam and idim zoramim and like an eye for an eye. It's like, how do we? That's a good basis.
Oh, yeah, that's not personal self-defense. That has to do with the judiciary process. If a criminal does something, as a criminal justice system has an obligation to punish the person for what he did. So America, if a person robs, you put him in jail for X number of years. If a person assaults, you put him in jail for another Y number of years, right? That's not revenge. That's the criminal justice system. Otherwise,
you could say the same thing that we said before.
Oh, what do you mean?
Why can we say the same thing we said before? Like we can't take revenge because it's taken away from like God's greatness.
Okay. So this goes back to what Mr. Babai asked me before. Herzl, there's a difference between national and personal. An eye for an eye doesn't mean that if somebody punches me, I now go and punch him, unless unless I'm defending myself. Meaning,
It's judicial.
that's judicial. An eye for an eye is
Goel
judicial.
adam, is that personal? Goel adam?
The what?
Goel adam.
That's a very nice question. So, great question, but I got to tell you, the questions here tonight are a good question. So, first of all, eye for an eye is in the judiciary established, or the Torah establishes rules for the judiciary, an eye for an eye, and by the way, you know that we don't actually poke out somebody's eye, of course. We take the money, because it says ayin tachat. Tachat means monetary, not actual physically taking out the guy's eye. Nobody ever did that, and nobody ever will do that. In the Jewish system, we're very clear, so it's money. But now he asked another question, very smart question he asked. He says, what about the goel hadam? What about, so there's a law, okay, so in Jewish law, if somebody murders, The halacha is, what do we do with the murderer? If there's witnesses, he can be executed, the death penalty.
The family's allowed to come after.
Correct. But let's say the person killed b'shogeg. It was, for example, it was unintentional homicide. Unintentional homicide, maybe he was going over the speed limit, he lost control of his car, he ended up killing somebody. That's called shogeg. That's unintentional homicide. Also, American law, New York State would recognize that as unintentional homicide, and therefore when they try the person, am I saying something wrong, Mr. Attorney, Mr. Right?
Correct.
There'd be a difference between intentional, unintentional, voluntary, right? So, okay. So that would be tried under the criminal statutes differently than if it was an intentional homicide where he wanted to kill somebody and then he took his car and rammed into him. So also the Torah recognizes that distinction. So in the case of shogeg means it was unintentional, it was negligent, he shouldn't have driven as he was driving quickly, but he was driving quickly, he accidentally killed somebody. According to halacha, the family members of the victim who was killed they're called goel hadam. They have a right to now go and chase down the person who killed unintentionally their family member. That's correct. That's the one case in Jewish law where, in a sense, we're allowing, I guess you would call it vigilante justice, meaning normally, and I'll get to both of you in a moment.
Chase them down and do what?
Oh, kill him.
Oh.
Right? Vigilante. Yeah, no. I'm putting it out there. Vigilante justice, meaning normally in Jewish law, every single punishment for a crime is always administered by the courts, right? As in any normal country. I mean, any normal country, the one case where the court says, look, we can't do anything because it was unintentional. So the family, they can go el hadam, and they can kill him. You're right. It's now,
They have to wait for the trial
but
also, no?
what?
They have to wait for the trial also.
A and B, what? And he can run away to an in miklat. And then he stays in the in miklat till the Kohen Gadol dies. And then he's free to go. And that's it, they can't touch him. So it's not like we say that, there's unlimited vengeance here. There's a process. And if he's found guilty of killing b'shogeg, then we're going to give him an opportunity to run away to the in miklat, and he can protect himself by being in the in miklat.
And if
right?
he lied,
Hashem
will get him.
And if he lied, Hashem will get him. And if he and if it ended up that he deserved to die for what he did, let's even say it was negligent, let's say it was reckless, Hashem might make him die through a similar accident, right? That's why we said So, but you're right. The one case where there's sort of vigilante justice, to a limited degree, because as we said, he's going to be given a chance to run away, and likely if he's smart, he'll run away, right? He doesn't want to get killed, so he'll run away to the in miklat, knowing that they're going to follow him, right? But that's it. Once you get to the in miklat, they can't touch him. Yes, young man.
I have two questions.
Yes.
The first one, what if he's running away and in self-defense he kills the family member?
Wow, oh, that's a good one. And he's allowed to, by the way. He's allowed to defend himself that way. That's a great question. I got to tell you. Yeah, there's a few. Actually, there is another case of vigilante justice. It's in the case of Bo'el Aramid Kana'im Pog'im Bo. There's another case, and you just reminded me, if a person is with the Goya in public, remember what Pinchas ben Elazar Kohen did? He killed the person, Zimri ben Salu, because Zimri ben Salu was with Kozbi Batsur. Kozbi Batsur was a Midianite woman, and Zimri ben Salu was with her, and then Pinchas came and he killed. That's another case of vigilante justice. Again, I'm putting it out there. I like being very precise. So those two cases of vigilante justice is what I remember in the Torah. I hope I'm not forgetting something. But okay, let's continue in the Gemara. So now that we discussed the law of revenge, the revenge that we're talking about is personal revenge. We're not talking about, for example, now we're going to war. Right? Oh, you're taking revenge. Yeah, we are. We're taking revenge. We are taking revenge. Right? That's what nations do. If you invade a nation and you harm that nation is going to come out and take revenge against you. The Torah is not against that. Of course not. We know that in the days of Moshe Rabbeinu, when the Midianites did what they did, you remember, I just brought you the incident of Zimri ben Salu and Kozbi Batsur. So they brought the Midianite woman, and Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu, Nekom Nikmat Hashem me'et hamidyanim. Nekom nikmat bnei Yisrael me'et hamidyanim. You must take the vengeance of the Jewish people. That's national. So nationally, there is no law of revenge. So after the 9/11, when they knocked down the Twin Towers, America went to Afghanistan. You say, oh, that's vengeful. Yes, it's vengeful and it's correct. Meaning no nation can survive unless it protects its citizens and takes revenge for what happened to the citizens. So that vengeance is allowed. And that's what's talking about here. Dichtiv, El nekamot Adonai, God is a God of many vengeances. El nekamot Tofia, and David HaMelech says, let the God of vengeance reveal himself. Right? And indeed, when you have a situation when the Jewish people need God to intervene, then we pray that God intervene, and that nekama is a special thing. Did you see the video today? Did you see the video today of the Turkish member of parliament? So it's just a little background. Turkey is like really an anti-Semitic country. Hashem is going to curse them. They're going to be cursed by Hashem. It'll happen soon enough. Erdogan, the prime minister of Turkey, is always cursing out Israel in the worst way. He's a advocate for Hamas. He's an advocate for barbarism. So today in the Turkish parliament, and I saw the video, it was actually quite lovely to see. The guy's cursing out Israel in Turkish, and he has like a sign, Israel, like right in back of him. And he says, God should curse Israel. Like he's making like a Muslim prayer. And as he says that, he drops on the floor, gets a heart attack. I don't know if they were able to revive him or not. But literally, what? Today. You know what I'll share? What?
Same thing like Bilam.
Yeah.
You curse.
Yes, exactly. Correct. So this guy, I can put the video on the group chat if you want.
Yeah.
Right? It was a great video, beautiful to see. And I was thinking of our Gemara. I said, this is a Gemara we want to. This is El Nekamotofia. God sometimes reveals himself as a guy saying, curse the Jewish people. Bar minan. I didn't want us to repeat that. He is cursed. He gets a heart attack, falls down. Everybody's rushing to him, and then they shut off the cameras. I don't know if he survived, by the way. He might have died. I don't know. But, either way, if he's in this world, he's in terrible suffering. If he's in the next world, he's in terrible suffering. I don't care. God will deal with him. Yes, I'm sorry.
So we just spoke previously about revenge and not having to want to take revenge. So doesn't that play into it? Or we see a video like that and we're like, well,
yeah.
maybe we shouldn't
So that's a
be
good
happy
question.
about that.
Yeah. So that's why I distinguish between national and individual. As a nation that doesn't defend itself and that doesn't have respect for itself will never survive. I mean, that nation will be over. Maybe it'll survive for 50 years, maybe 100 years, but eventually it'll cease to exist. No nation can survive unless it is willing to not just defend its people, but avenge its people, right? And we see this in the state of Israel. Part of the problem with Israel is the modern state of Israel. If I may get into politics, and feel free to disagree with me. I know people disagree with this, and it's okay. I'm just giving you as an illustration. The Middle East is a very tough neighborhood. So imagine I'm walking like in this really tough neighborhood. This is in the 70s. I don't know where I'm walking. Some neighborhood, I have my little yarmulke on, and there's all these big guys, like they have like their brass knuckles and, the chains and the leather and whatever. And they're really like mean guys. And like they see this little puny Jew. I guess maybe I'm not that small, but let's say I was a little puny Jew. And like, they're coming after me, and I'm kind of talking like this, and like I'm being very like Woody Allen-ish kind of. And then they want to attack me. They want to hurt me. And I have this special thing, like it's a special protection that, like if they shoot a bullet at me, I can somehow stop the bullet. But I'm never going to shoot at them. But I can stop that bullet and stop this bullet. But eventually they'll just make more bullets, and eventually they'll make so many bullets I won't be able to stop all of them. And the problem with that methodology is you're actually projecting weakness, because you're saying that you're not going to do anything to hurt them. You're just going to stop the bullets that they're trying to shoot at you. So you can see how eventually this little puny fellow, they'll get him, right? So maybe they didn't get him this time, but they'll get him next time, and they're not going to be afraid of him. They'll keep shooting because the guy is projecting the weakness. He's saying, I'm not going to do anything to hurt you. Now, you can't run a nation like that. No nation can survive, with that type of attitude where we're not going to do anything to you. And you see what happened in Israel. Unfortunately, they gave away Gaza in 2005. And, the idea, the thinking was, let's just give them what they want, and then we'll start like, shooting the missiles out of the sky. We're not going to do anything to them, but we'll shoot the missiles out of the sky. It doesn't work. In an ideal world, it would be great if that worked. I'd love it. We'd have less wars, and all we are saying is give peace a chance. And it's wonderful to sing that if you're, in Berkeley University, where they have amazing weather, Pacific Ocean air. You have the professor standing behind you, cheering you on, and financial aid to the wazoo. And I'll get to you in a moment. So it's a great. All you are saying is give peace a chance. Just try that in the Gaza Strip. Try that in Fallujah. Try that in Kabul. Kabul, Afghanistan. All we are saying is give a peace a chance. They'll shoot up the person within 13 seconds. There'll be nothing left of him, right? So the point is, El nekamot Adonai, El nekamot Lafiyah. Sometimes you just need for the nation to survive in its confrontation with other nations. No, you don't just block bullets. You go out and you do what the state of Israel is doing today. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
You mentioned in 2005, so Rabin was assassinated a day later.
No, Rabin wasn't alive then. He was assassinated in 94. That was during the Oslo. You're talking about Oslo Accords. Right.
Okay, but so my question is that even though that guy took revenge,
right?
Was that?
So I don't want to talk about Rabin because it's a very sensitive issue. He was the prime minister of Israel, so I'll give him that credit. I'll say he made a mistake. I don't want to talk about that. There's a lot of interesting questions what happened, but I would say I wasn't, and you noticed by 2005, who was the prime minister? I think it was Sharon. Okay, fair enough. I don't want to talk about individuals. I'm pointing out that the nation makes mistakes, and we pay for those mistakes. And I'm not even going to go into I don't want to get into politics. I don't want to start saying things that might hurt people's feelings. It might, whatever I might think about the failures, shortcomings of certain leaders, or mistakes they made, or they didn't make mistakes.
No,
but
it was just a question. Was that considered a revenge action from Hashem to?
I don't want to say
They
that.
want to give back land to anybody? They can't give
Right.
back.
So in my opinion,
there.
the land of Israel belongs to the children of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. God said so in the Torah. And I would say even more than that. I think if the Jewish position was from the beginning, we have the land of Israel, not because of the Holocaust or because the UN said so. We have the land of Israel because the Torah says so. I think we would be in a much stronger position. We would be very adamant. And if you don't like it, it's okay. But this is our Torah. We believe in it, and we ain't giving up. But the problem is, you're right. You're not supposed to give up pieces of Israel. It was a mistake, and it was haram. It was haram also, and we're paying for it. We're paying for it today. So everybody now understands that leaving Gaza was horrible because that's what led to this, this horrible October 7th. Was somebody else raise their hand? You? Okay, that's it. Okay, right. All right. So national revenge. It's just that's just the way it is, right? And look, in the days of the Mashiach, it's not going to be like that because in the days of the Mashiach, the nations of the world would have woken up and they would see the truth. So we'll come to a point of peace, but not now. All right. Okay, Amar Ula, Sheteho Fa'ayot Halalu Lama. Now, Ula looks at the Pasuk and it says, El Nekamot Adonai, El Nekamot Hofia. Why does it say Nekama twice? God, the God of vengeance, should appear. And it says it twice. Why twice? Achat Lemidat Tova, Ve'achat Lemidat Pulanu. Because there's two types of revenge. And I love this. This is so beautiful. One type of revenge is a revenge we always know about. You know what the revenge we always know about is? We're going to go into Gaza, we're going to destroy everything there, there's going to be nothing left. Okay, that's revenge, and that's good. That I'm not talking against that type of revenge. But there's another type of revenge, Limidat Tova. You know what Limidat Tova means? You know what the best revenge against the Nazis is? The best revenge? That we had a beautiful state of Israel that's one of the most beautiful countries in the world. We have the most amazing European cafes and amazing promenades and gorgeous beaches and everybody's strong and healthy and good looking and smart, and we have the most Nobel Prize winners in the world, and everything we've done. That's revenge. That's revenge. Like you look at the Arabs, all they're doing is they're constantly complaining about this. I think the best revenge is the Midat Tova. Midat Tova means just God bless us, because by blessing us, that's the greatest revenge. You wanted to destroy the state of Israel for so many decades. Not only you can't destroy us, we're so blessed. And by the way, you look at these soldiers, you look at our soldiers, you look at the spirit they have, the emunah they have. We're reading the Sefer Torah, in the middle of Gaza, in the middle of a wartime. There's a Sefer Torah. They have Aliyot Kohen, Levi Israel, reading the Torah, lighting the Chanukiah. You know what a revenge that is? That's beautiful. You know, so they had our hostages in that place, Palestine, Kikav, what was it, the center of town. Kikav, I forgot, I know how to say it in Hebrew. Kikav is when you have in the middle of square, Palestine Square. So Palestine Square, they took our hostages there, and they did what they did, and we're lighting the Chanukiah there. That's the revenge of good. So you can have revenge of bad, where you go and you literally take the physical revenge, and you have revenge of good. You're lighting the Chanukiah there and singing Halelot Halalu Anu Madakim. That's the best revenge. So there's two types of revenge. En lekamot Adonai for evil, en lekamot Ofiyah for good. Right? So both things. We have both things. That's why we have it twice. All right. What time is it, by the way? I'm totally. Okay, we have another 6 minutes. ואמר רבי אלעזר, כל אדם שיש בו דעה, כאילו נבנה בית המקדש מימיו. If a person has, let me tell you what da'ah is, I'll tell you in a moment, but if a person has da'ah, it's like the Beit HaMikdash was built in his days. I'll explain that. שזה ניתן בין שתי אותיות, because we remember last week we brought the pasuk, כי אל דעות אדוני ולא נתקנו עלילות, so the word da'ah appears before the two names of God. And then we brought Mikedash Adonai Konenu Yadecha, right? So the word Mikedash, the Bet HaMikdash, is between the two names of God, right? You remember we said that last week? Mm-hmm. So this person that has De'ah, it's as if although the Bet HaMikdash was built in his days. Let me explain to you what that means. So there's three levels. There's Chokhmah, there's Binah, and there's De'ah. I learned this from my father, Alav Shalom, who was a person, by the way, who had tremendous De'ah.
What is that? Bina, De'ah?
There's Chokhmah, Bina, and Da'at. So Atachon Antanu, we say in the Tefillah, V'chonenu mitecha Chokhmah, chonenu mi'itecha. We tell God in the Amidah, give us please, bless us, give us a gift. V'chonenu literally means a gift. Chokhmah, give us Chokhmah, one type of wisdom or intelligence. Bina, another type of intelligence. V'da'at. Let me explain to you what these three types of intelligences are, so that you know what it means, and then you'll understand this Gemara. So there's Chokhmah. Chokhmah means, and there's a pasuk in Daniel that says, and we spoke about this last week, that there's a certain intelligence that comes from God that touches your brain, and you think of something that nobody else thought about before you. You make a discovery, a scientific discovery, a mathematical discovery, you think an original thought, right? So you remember last week I said that these original thoughts, they come from God. So Albert Einstein, he looks at the matrix of the universe and he begins to examine it, and suddenly he comes to the conclusion that there's a fourth dimension. We always think of the universe in terms of 3 dimensions, and he says, no, there's 4-dimensional space-time, so there's a combination of space and time. And then he has the idea of curvature in space, so he looks at gravity rather than as an attractive force, as just kind of like a wrinkle, not a wrinkle, a curve in the actual matrix of space. And then he's thinking about the special theory of relativity, the relationship between the speed of an object and the time passage of that object, and he's thinking about the general theory of relativity. Okay, so he's thinking all these original thoughts. So if you have an original thought that nobody thought of, and it's a spark of brilliance. So why do people win Nobel Prizes? They win Nobel Prizes because they have an insight that nobody had before, maybe in chemistry, maybe in biology, maybe in astronomy. So you have this spark. That spark is called Chokhmah. You thought of something that nobody thought of before. Okay, simple? Okay, let's look at the second level. The second level is Bina. Bina means you think of something, but what do you do with that thought? So for example, Albert Einstein, he thought of the relationship between energy and matter. So E equals mc squared, right? So the mass, right? So if you transform mass into pure energy, the amount of energy will be the weight of the mass times the speed of light squared, whatever that even means. So it's a huge, crazy, unbelievable, because the speed of light is 186,000 miles per second. So like just squared. So it's like, the number's like nuts. So he's like coming up with this idea that if you turn matter into energy, you have like an insane amount of energy. Okay, so that's Albert Einstein. Comes another person and says, hey, I bet you we can make a really effective bomb against the Japanese. using that idea, and he comes up with the atom bomb, right? The atom bomb is turning the atom, or part of it, partial transformation of the matter into energy, resulting in this huge explosion, and they use it in a way to win World War II. So there's the initial spark. That's Chokhmah. What do I do with that? How do I apply it? That's Binah. So there's applied physics and there's physics. Sometimes you have people who are physicists, they're brilliant in physics, but they're not applied physicists. Then you have people who know how to apply it. Engineers, what's an engineer? An engineer takes the notions, the scientific notions, and applies them for the construction of, for example, bridges, for the construction of buildings, or maybe, it could be for other types of applications in marine life forms, and in climatology, in biology, right, in agriculture. So you're taking these scientific ideas, not that you thought of, somebody else thought of it, and you're going to apply it. That's called Binah. So you see what Chokhmah is? You see what Binah is? Okay. What's Da'at? Da'at is wisdom. As somebody becomes older and more experienced, he begins to understand the world around him in a more profound manner. That comes with age, right? Now you can have a person, let's say you can have a Harvard University professor. Should I call it Hamas University? Let's call it Harvard University, just so people know what I'm talking about, even though I'm thinking Hamas University. So you have a Harvard University professor, and they're great at physics. And they're brilliant. It could be that they're actually brilliant in physics. And they can be complete dibs when it comes to understanding Israel, the Palestinians, Hamas, human rights. I mean, they're complete, actual, low intellects, because they have zero dot. You can have a person who's brilliant in physics, and he's completely clueless when it comes to an actual world around him. He doesn't know how to treat his wife. He doesn't know how to treat his children. He has horrible relations with people. He supports Hamas, which is clearly a Nazi organization over Israel, as many of them do. They have zero dot. So you see how it's possible, because many times people have this thing. How could the person have won a Nobel Prize and you still support Hamas? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, are you insane? And the answer to that question is yes. Yes, they are actually insane, because just because you know physics, just because you know mathematics, just because you know biology, whatever, doesn't mean you have dot. Dot is wisdom. And wisdom is something completely else. Wisdom has to do with understanding good and bad in the world. Morality, common sense, what's right, what's wrong. Right? So you see what da'at is? So da'at is something that comes when you're a little older and you have more experience, and now you understand the world and you're closer to God. Right? So that's da'at. Right? Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Question, young man.
A more apt way to say da'at is more working on your intellectual mind?
No, because da'at, there's part of the component of da'at, there's certain emotions that you also develop. You develop an emotional sensitivity, a deeper understanding. I'll just give you an example. People, they say, from the river to the sea, Palestine shall be free. They don't know what Palestine is, what's the history of Palestine, what river you're talking about, what sea you're talking about. You have no clue, but you're all there saying it. So these are not very wise people. Now, it could be that particular one of them holding the sign, maybe he's great in mathematics. But he's still at a very low level when it comes to wisdom, because he's willing to go outside, make a fool of himself, and support a Nazi terrorist organization, and he doesn't even know what he's saying, and he should know that he doesn't know what he's saying, but he's saying it anyway, right? So why do they do that? No wisdom, no da'at, okay? So if a person has da'at, meaning that special wisdom, we have hachamim who had that special wisdom, and those hachamim had a special light to them, right? Let me tell you something that you might not hear elsewhere. Harambam writes in the Moreh Nebuchim, originally, the kippah was worn by the hachamim. And the question is, why did the hachamim used to wear the kippah? What was the point of the kippah? And he says that the hachamim, they had a special, the Shekhinah, he says, HaShekhinah chofefet al roshehem. The Shekhinah was radiating from their head, right? You remember Moshe Rabbeinu, Kikaran Or Panav, that was like a fire. So this was something that was common among the Chachamim, And therefore they would cover their head with the kippah, so that it would kind of be an act of humility, so you don't just look and, oh, look at me. Rather, you're covering it because you want to be humble in the eyes of the people, and you don't want people talking about you in a way that might make you arrogant. That's the original reason for the kippah. So what he's saying is that when the Chachamim reach this level of da'at, it's like the Bet HaMikdash, because when you went to the Bet HaMikdash, you felt the presence of God. And when you were in the presence of this Chachamim, you would feel the presence of God. You would feel the presence of the Shekhinah, because the Shekhinah was with them. You see the relationship? So again, in the Bet HaMikdash, you had the Shekhinah, and you would go in and you would feel a certain wisdom. And then when you go to the Chachamim, the real Chachamim from the previous generations, you also felt that same feeling of reverence, of beauty. Right? So I don't know if you met some of I was blessed by my father, who took me to some Chachamim, and who himself had this radiance to him as well. So I know what it is, and that's what the Gemara is saying. Kol adam sheyesh bo de'ah, what he says, Ki'ilu nimna Bet HaMikdash b'yamav. It's like the Bet HaMikdash is there because that's special. It's a special feeling, And then when the Chachamim leave, you feel a sense of emptiness. A person who has a special da'ah, he's mit'asher. He becomes rich, not in the sense of financial wealth, but God organizes his life around him in a way that he has everything. What does it say with Avraham Avinu? The Avraham Zaken, Baba Yamim, V'Adonai berach et Avraham bakol. So Avraham Avinu is a great example. He had everything he needed. He had, his son was married. He had, eventually after that was the final beracha. Yitzchak was married. He had wealth. His life was secure. He felt very content. So God, as a reward for these people who seek Him out and who get this da'at, God gives them a life which is ended in a way of real contentment. Shneimar, u'da'at hadarim yimaleu kol hon yakad v'na'im. That through da'at, a person will fill his rooms, meaning the rooms in the house, with every beautiful object and every type of pleasant environment. So this person is blessed by God, so that around him he's surrounded with beauty. He says that if a person, what does it mean that person en bo de'ah? It means that person could have had access to de'ah, but he chose to reject it. He chose to turn his back towards that special type of wisdom. Maybe he had a father who wanted to guide him in the right way, and he rejected it. He didn't want to do it. Maybe he knew a Chacham, and the Chacham wanted to help him, a rabbi, something, and he rejected it. He hurt himself. So let's stop here. I think we're 9:15.
9:20.
9:20. Okay, so let's stop here. And Belina, the next week we're going to continue. We're going to go back to the subject of Tehiyat HaMetim next week. We made this slight digression. So next week, Be'ezrat Hashem, we're going to go back to Tehiyat HaMetim.